Well, I know I did want to just say this quickly.
Sure.
Because you're going to be happy about it.
Okay.
We tried to get our anime talk out of the way so we could talk about D&D, but I just wanted to let you know that I started Konosuba.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
It's
It's great.
I like it.
It's so good.
Welcome back to the No Big Banana Podcast. My name is Charles.
My name is Justin.
Justin and I have already been talking a good amount about anime. There are probably a few other things we'll talk about at some point, but we do want to make this podcast D&D centric.
Oh yeah, at least like a good solid like chunk of it for sure.
Yeah, well,
there's also a lot going on in politics, and there's also a lot of anime to talk about. So
yeah, don't worry. The anime will be there. I'm sure it'll.
But you started watching Konosuba.
Yeah,
it's so funny, dude.
It is. It's pretty funny. It's cute, and it's nice to look at. I like the animation style.
Yeah, beautiful character design. I think especially like with the three girls. How far into it are you?
I've only watched the first episode.
Okay,
but I really like what I see so far.
It just gets more and more extravagant. Like
I would imagine so. Like because it is a bit of a harem. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's like the worst harem you could ask for.
Okay.
Well, because like I think that it's interesting to me too, because like the three main girl characters. I think part of the reason why I like it so much is the three main girl characters are extremely flawed. Like just some of the worst people imaginable, and yet they're still so lovable. Like Megamim like gets off on explosion magic, won't do anything else, can only do it once a day. But I think part of it is because of the design choices for them, like the way that they present the characters themselves. So like Aqua's dress has like the blue and the white to accent her eyes, and their hair like her hair bow. Megamim has a very like dark red burgundy look with like a witch's hat. And then Darkness has like a very like yellow and white attire to her, and then Kazuma has like greens. So they each have like a central color that they go to, so they're very distinct.
Yeah, like Shield Hero.
Yeah, exactly.
I love that kind of stuff. I love that. I mean, I think that that's almost built into our DNA probably, right? Because we're pack animals, like associating teams and colors.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
Yeah, I can already tell that that's one of the things that I like, is that it's like, oh, cute. Her name's Aqua, and she's all blue.
And she's also just the worst goddess ever.
Yeah, and then it is hilarious that like she's so good at everything except she's below average intelligence, but she's good at everything else simply because of like the fact that she's a goddess.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
And then she spends all of her points on like party tricks. So like instead of being able to actually do anything in a fight, she can just make these fans shoot water.
Yeah.
And do like parlor tricks. It's the best.
So it's always cool seeing strong female characters, which by the way is a thing that anime does well.
Yeah, I think that they've definitely gone to a direction of pushing for that.
Well,
because like you can't say that like all anime, like most anime girls are just titties in the background.
Well, maybe I'm coming from a position of just now like really, I liked anime.
I mean, you think Bulma's a good character? She's got a good character development, strong female lead,
yeah. Well, DBZ notwithstanding.
Yeah.
I mean,
I can find you other examples.
I guess it's just because I've really, this is my biggest bite of the apple when it comes to anime is this last year.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
What I've experienced up to this point has been dude, Rem and Ram.
Oh, yeah.
And Bia and all the witches.
Yeah.
Like any of the women from ReZero are badass. Even the little girl from the village is a badass.
Yeah.
So
the one that summons all the shit and kills everybody in the town. Yeah, straight up.
So that's really cool to see. I was complimented by our friend Cher about my playing strong female characters all the time in D&D.
Yeah,
which is a good segue into D&D. Yeah. I can tell you about the story.
Oh, sure, hit me with it.
So is this one shot.
Path of Cthulhu one?
Yeah, so it was Trail of Cthulhu,
that I wanted to be in,
which is like a variant of the Call of Cthulhu RPG. Yeah, honestly, it was 4 hours.
Jesus.
Okay, with 5 of us.
God damn.
So yeah, if you would have been there, we would have been there until 1:30 in the morning.
I didn't think you heard me, so I was really excited that you were going to hear it.
I always hear you.
Okay, well that's good.
No, we'll get you in on the next one, bro. We're doing one in November.
Right on.
We're going to do one every month.
Right on.
But this one was we were on a train in 1914.
Okay.
1 month after Franz Ferdinand was assassinated.
Nice.
So
All right, fuck yeah. Take me out.
we were on the last train leaving Sarajevo. Initially, we thought,
what a good like setup for it.
it's so good, dude.
Oh, man.
So I was okay. So Cher was a woman from South Africa named Dr. Madeline Yalani. Jay was just like a fat white aristocratic guy
upper
named
class.
Burlington Moxley.
Fuck yeah.
And
Burlington Moxley.
Hunter, which is Ethan's brother, was a German armyman named Jaeger, and Ethan was a Austrian journalist that wrote for the Hungarian Austrian Times, "We hunger for the truth."
God damn it.
And
I was waiting for it. I was like, I know something with the word hunger's coming in here somewhere.
then I was a Russian archaeologist named Anastasia Borisnova
Cortez.
Ivanov.
Yo, real quick, before we go into
Russian.
this, that name reminded me of it. Fucking AOC and like Ilhan Omar playing Among Us on Twitch.
Oh, dude.
I think that was
Toast
a really smart
marinating
move.
AOC, which of course he would.
Yeah.
He said it was at some point, I didn't see it, but he said that he's like, oh, I would never marinate a congressman. And then he does it immediately.
Yeah. It was, I think, and again, just as like a quick aside so we can go back to D&D, I think it was a really smart move on their part because it felt very natural.
Dude, the 500,000 people watched it.
Yeah, and it was
500,000 people
natural.
watching a live stream?
It also just
That's
like,
insane.
it wasn't like a Pokemon Go to the polls kind of situation. It was like an actually like they were just playing a game. And it
Yeah.
was like to have politicians feel real and to accept that kind of like new part of our society was kind of cool. Anyway.
When it happened, I was dying laughing, thinking of all of the people across America on their fucking like AOL
Yeah, like what the fuck's a poggers?
internet connection, watching it and being like, so she plays Among Us, which is about imposters.
She must be an imposter. Oh, dude, I didn't even
Sounds
think about
pretty
that.
sus. Oh, dude.
That's hilarious.
Millions of people all over
That's
the country.
hilarious.
Anyway, D&D. So back in the in 1914, like when the war was about to start, before it started,
Just like starts out with like Franz Ferdinand in a car.
dude,
it's just getting shot.
it's midnight. No, his car was on the train, bro.
Really?
Yeah,
Like in real life or in this?
no, in the D&D in the D&D one shot.
Oh, word.
Franz Ferdinand's car was one of the box cars that was added right before we left.
Oh, dude.
It was midnight. It was so dark. We all had flashlights that we had to use.
Otherwise, yeah, just no vision.
It was so badass.
Dude, I really want to play a Call of Cthulhu one shot because like there's something.
I want to do another one for. Part of me wants to like. I wonder if Ethan would DM one for November.
Like the thing I think that's interesting about it as opposed to like any other like even say like Wicked Packs or other like basic not generic but like your standard fare for tabletop role playing games like that, dice heavy role playing games, is the idea of like an insanity meter. Like,
Yeah.
like losing sanity and stuff like that's it's just such an interesting concept, and I love like Lovecraftian horror so much.
By the way, the mechanics, the fighting is deadly. You have like
believe it.
4 hit points.
That's good.
It's nuts.
That's how it should be in like
And
a horror theme.
sanity did come into play, especially like as we got closer toward the end, because my character, like basically along the way, I found
A Tindalo storeway?
like a gem on this guy. It started like getting hot in my clutch. I could feel it that it was getting hotter. And so I basically because I was the traitor, Al the DM kept like sending me messages that you can see on the VOD. Like,
Oh, cool. I was the DM
because
for
it was from Al
Nice.
DM'd it, and so
Nice.
because I was the traitor, I had access to all of the info, so the viewers got from my perspective what was happening.
Oh, that's dope.
So like as we were playing the game, he would send me messages like Stone's getting hotter, and then like he would send me a message just like now you're hearing voices, and like I was told basically like I have to protect the stone so that Cthulhu can rise.
Shit, yeah, dude.
And so Ethan died.
There is a part of me that like would be cool with like unleashing Cthulhu. Like, there's kind of a part of me that's
Oh
like,
yeah.
it might be fun. Like me and my best friend Cthulhu.
Me and my best friend releasing Cthulhu.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just like I mean, obviously, it's had so many like impacts on the horror community, like the horror genre as a whole, like Lovecraft work.
Yeah.
It like there's just something so alluring about the threat of the unknown,
Yeah.
in a sense of like just existential dread.
Yeah.
That's just like kind of like intoxicating.
Well, and racist as he may have been.
Yeah, I'm not condoning H.P. Lovecraft as a human being. I'm just talking about his works.
But that's what I'm saying is like
It's like Edgar Allan Poe. It's like he fucked his first cousin. I don't like it. I mean, I share a birthday with him.
it's just like anything else, man. It's a separation of person and work. We all had to do it with Cosby.
Like Bill Cosby.
So, yeah, I mean, he's definitely on that Rushmore of like creating at least like the foundational worlds.
Oh, for sure.
Of like basically the rules. It's like
How it works.
it's like
He wrote
it's
the
like
guidebook.
Tolkien and
Yeah.
Lucas with Star Wars. Although there's arguments about that.
No, I wouldn't say Lucas was Star Wars because it's just
The Hidden Fortress.
yeah. Well, it's just a repeat of Shakespearean works.
Yeah, that's true.
It's the same as like Lion King. It's just fucking.
Or like H.G. Wells or King. Did I tell you that I watched In the Tall Grass?
No, how was it?
Oh, dude, it's good.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I watched, actually, speaking of Lovecraftian horror, I watched Color Out of Space with Nick Cage in it. It was a good time.
I cannot take Nicolas Cage seriously.
And he doesn't try to be serious at
Oh,
all
well,
the
that's
entire
good
time.
news.
It actually works really well to the film's advantage.
My
but-
wife and I did watch Raising
My wife.
Arizona a week or so ago, and that was funny.
Oh, yeah.
That's an acceptable Nick Cage, kind of like Con Air.
I would
because
say,
you
like-
know what you're getting.
I would say the same for like Wicker Man. Like,
Oh my god!
like I
dude.
knew what I was getting.
The bees.
Yeah, exactly.
The
It's such a
bees.
classic thing, So it's like I almost like
It wasn't advertised as such.
right, but like looking back, I mean, it's the same as like Airplane. I still think Airplane is the funniest movie of all time.
It is pretty funny. The
think, like,
Goldbergs just
jokes
did an
per-
Airplane episode.
Really?
Yeah, it's really funny.
Fuck yeah.
He can't stop quoting the movie, and his
I just wanna let you
girlfriend is
know.
like totally
We're all
turned
counting on
off.
you. Good luck.
Yeah.
Well, I just think like jokes per minute with all the visual humor in it and all the actual like. I mean, it's up there with like Spaceballs and stuff where it was like they just slammed so much into it.
Yeah.
That like as you're watching it, it's
Or
like,
Blazing Saddles. It's
oh
like
my god, Blazing Saddles is so good.
it's just it's what it is, dude, and like it's just a bunch of Jews in a comedy writer's room. And they are
Ashkenazi taking over. Did you just JQ me, bro?
trying to one up each other on jokes.
Dude, there's something.
And I mean, can you imagine being in a fucking writing room with Mel Brooks?
oh my, I couldn't.
Are you kidding me?
I would just be.
You would be
crying,
laughing the
entire
whole time.
There's no way I'd be able to do
And you
anything
would be
else.
writing it all down.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
And then that's your movie. It's
I mean,
just,
he's-
we're gonna comb the desert. It's just
yeah,
like
and then it's like
every,
Afro pics. It's the best thing ever.
every
Yeah.
20 seconds you're laughing. Like,
Oh yeah, it's the same with
that's-
Airplane, man. Like even just
Yeah.
like his drinking problem, and he just like can't hit his he can't hit his mouth.
That's really funny. I really like that kind of shit, dude. And like you're starting to see that.
Shit's really gonna hit the fan. I
feel like that kinda-
shit actually hits the fan.
I feel like that humor is kind of making a comeback, like particularly in animation. Like you see
yeah.
a lot of that in like Bob's Burgers,
Oh,
or
for sure,
like with the kids, like Gene in particular. With
Oh,
those,
yeah.
like just those like pun one-liners.
Mm-hmm.
But even in stuff like I don't know if you ever watched The Last Man on Earth.
I did not.
I really liked that show, and I think that it got canceled. It must have.
I think it did because like I think it. From what I remember hearing about it, it was like, oh yeah, it's the last man on Earth, and then he finds a girl, and then he finds a bunch of people, and it's like, well, now the title doesn't really mean anything.
It
and now
did-
the story's kind of falling apart.
It did in a way lose its appeal, like after things.
Like, how much can you do with just one dude jacking off in the apocalypse? You know what I mean? Like,
Well, after they got to a place where it was like normalized, then it was less.
Yeah.
Because like in the beginning it was really good because it was just him, and then he meets Kristen Shaw, and she's a fucking comedic
oh my
genius.
god, she's the one that voices Louise.
Yeah.
she's amazing.
She's brilliant. And so she
She just has to talk.
yeah,
and it's funny.
When the two of them were together, it was so good. And then it wasn't as bad when they were introducing new characters, because
Mm-hmm.
it was like, oh, okay, cool, there's more people, and like, oh, who's this guy? And then it was like mysterious and like,
Right.
But then after there's like 7 or 8 of them,
Yeah,
and then
then
they're
it's like,
just
all
like
right, cool.
surviving, and
Now
then
it's
one of
just
them
friends.
one of them gets pregnant, and it's like, okay, this is
I don't know. I actually like, for me, like I never got into The Walking Dead, which is surprising because I love zombie flicks.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know. For me, like when I was watching The Walking Dead, it was like zombies at the beginning, 45 minutes of nothing. Like, I mean, it was the same thing with like Attack on Titan.
Yeah.
Where it was like, at first it was like, yo, I'm here for this. It's like the humans' resistance against these giant, like disgusting, monstrous like beings, and then it became like a political drama, and I was like, what the fuck? And I hear the fourth season's really good, so I'm gonna go back and like finish it. But like, I read the manga, and the manga is the most dense. Like, you can tell, like, just written into a corner as hard as possible. Like, just like they get to the basement, and then it's like, turns out like it's god awful. It's so convoluted and stupid.
Dude, I really want to watch the Dungeons and Dragons movies and do
like the animated ones.
And do no.
I
want to do the show.
Yeah.
But I also want to do the films and
we should do Mystery Science 3000.
Let's watch bad stuff.
Yeah,
that's what it is.
I want to do that. But yeah. What's the most interesting setup for a campaign that you've ever had in D&D?
I don't know. Last night was pretty fucking cool.
Well, that's not D&D though. That's called Cthulhu.
Not gonna lie.
I'm
yeah,
talking
that's
about, like,
true.
Actual games.
Ethan is a really, really good DM. He's probably the best DM I've had. Although Posey, our friend Posey, is a close second. Posey was the first DM I ever had, and then for several years while we played 3.5 was our forever DM. He was really great. I don't know, man. It's hard.
What's okay? Well, then I'll switch the question around. Then what's the most broken thing you've ever seen in D&D? Like spell wise, or like what's the most like ridiculous turn you've ever seen? Like, there's got to be one that like stands out.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
For me, it was like I was playing as a monk and I got a skateboard, so I was able to move like 125 feet in a round. And so, like, I killed the big baddie while they were driving away in a car. I just, like, knocked them out of the car, and then the car ran over them and killed them.
I think the Dark Pirate campaign, and I don't know if I've ever talked about this, but we ran a Dark Pirate campaign once where we were all...
Trying to be the Pirate King?
We were all CE. And so we were all chaotic evil.
Oh, okay.
So we had license to do whatever we wanted.
Nice.
And we were pirates. And I was a half-orc barbarian who had taken some levels in Dragon Shaman.
Interesting.
Which Dragon Shaman in 3.5 gave you a breath weapon. So I had a blue dragon as my totem.
So lightning?
Totem dragon, yeah. So I had a lightning breath. And so this one encounter in particular was just so stupid because we just decimated them so fast. Like, we had no idea. This ship came alongside us. And I was like the first mate to the ship. And my friend was a captain who was also, we had a spellcaster, and then Justin was like a dwarf or something. He might have been asleep during this because there was a session that he missed where his character was just asleep below deck. My friend that was the captain was a drider.
What's a drider?
A giant spider.
Oh, fuck that.
And so he hid underneath the decks.
Oh, God, I hate spiders,
and we invited their captain over to our ship. And the captain wouldn't come. The first mate came in his stead. And the mage let him down below deck to his immediate demise by giant spider.
Fuck, of course.
Meanwhile,
meanwhile,
I jumped across the deck. As soon as I got like the
just
signal,
a big old long deck.
I jumped across from our ship to their ship, and I landed.
Just
I decapitated the captain.
Nice.
With a hammer.
God!
Because my character had a feat called Monkey Grip, which
fucking Monkey Grip.
So Monkey Grip is a feat that allows you
a girl to really keep a guy around.
A Monkey Grip is a thing that allows you to hold a weapon one class size higher.
Oh, word. Wait, so you could like one-hand a two-handed weapon?
Yes. Or you could two-hand an even bigger weapon.
Like something for a creature that's like a giant.
So I had a
big-ass club.
I had a huge size warhammer that I could use two-handed. So it was like, there's like large, it was two sizes above large.
Oh, shit.
My hammer. So
XXL.
I hit him in the head, and his head just flew off into the ocean. And then
awesome.
I turned my head and shot lightning and killed 3 other crew members.
Oh,
they all just hit the deck. It wasn't much cleanup after that. I think we had a rogue. Oh, Rigsby was the rogue.
Nice.
And he was fucking kukriing his way through the lower decks. And then we met up top, and everyone was dead. And we were just like, okay, so now we have 2 ships.
Fuck yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's one that comes to mind. We did lots of crazy shit like that though. There was the one time when Posey had just like forgot that I was a Minotaur and he put us in a labyrinth.
Oh.
He put us in a labyrinth and then we all just kind of like collectively were looking at him. Like people were looking at me and then we all like looked at him and he was like, "Oh God damn it, you're a Minotaur." And I was like, "Yeah, I can't get lost."
Yeah.
And so then our mage immediately was like, "Well, now we're all telepathically linked, so none of us can get lost."
Nice.
So then we just
That's some broken shit. I love that.
Wrecked shop. Well, it was a tournament. It was like a Coliseum-esque tournament.
Okay.
And it was like the third round. It was like the semifinals.
Oh, shit.
And it was a labyrinth. And Posey was so proud of himself because he was like, "Yeah, now you're going to have to get like split up and shit." And it was
I was
like,
like, nope.
"Oh no, bro, we're mind linked with a Minotaur who like literally one of his racial abilities is that he can never get lost anywhere."
That's awesome.
And so there was my friend was like
How
a
did that
rogue.
work, like mechanic wise? Was that just like you get advantage on?
Well, there was no advantage in 3-5.
Oh, right.
So there
I was trying to think
was
of,
no
like, how-
mechanic to it. It was just I know where I'm going.
Oh shit. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I assumed for a second there, I thought like mechanic wise that it would be something like, on any kind of like survival check or anything that has to do with like direction. I think there's a feat in 5e that allows you to do that, but I don't think it's a racial passive.
No, there's racial passives were a little bit more broken in 3-5, but that's also because there was a level adjustment.
Right. And there's also like when everything's broken, nothing's broken.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, well, as long as you can keep it, like, that's the thing about 3-5. Like, people will look at, like, I can show you 3-5 characters that you would be like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah, what is going on
But
here?
then I would show you the monsters. Like, I always come back to it, but, like, the Tarrasque was immune to magic.
Yeah, just completely.
Like,
just
it's the amount of
Is there a way
difficulty.
to, like, is there a way to, I don't know, like, because I really don't know 3-5 that well, so I'm just kind of curious about mechanic wise. Is there like an ability or a spell or something that can be cast to undo that? Is there any way to like get around that?
Probably. There's probably certain spells that.
Because I mean, then you get to like a Schrodinger's Tarrasque kind of situation where it's like you try to use magic to undo its immunity to magic.
Yeah, well, we killed it once.
Nice.
We've killed it a few times, but one of the times
bitch just keeps coming back.
one of the times Justin's barbarian got swallowed and he cut his way out.
Oh, dude, like Philo and Shield Hero just eats her way out.
Yeah, pretty much. I've done that before. I did that with a Kraken once. I was my Minotaur character.
I think my character got swallowed one time by like a gelatinous cube type thing.
Oh yeah.
And so then
That's
I was just
spooky
like,
stuff.
I was just in it, and I was like, all of the other people were just like attacking the lady that summoned it or whatever, and I was like, no, that's cool. I'll just figure my own way out. But I was a monk, so I got out easily. But
It was the same campaign where I was the Minotaur, where we had solo battles, and during my solo battle, water filled the arena.
Oh shit!
And I was fighting. I was 1v1ing a Kraken.
Damn.
And I won because
Get yourself.
I let him swallow me, and then I just axed my way out of its stomach.
That makes sense.
So
That's
yeah.
kind of actually, it's interesting. I think that's one of the more like, just because like the idea of doing damage from the inside out, I think is a cool concept to me right now. Just because like, sorry to go here, but like in One Piece, there's a moment where like,
Did you like that meme about like
what?
about like welcome to heaven?
Yeah.
We have all the anime ever, and it's like what? All this is just One Piece.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's like pulls his mask off. The really in hell.
No, that's not how, dude. That's trust me, bro. Like, whatever. It's a great show. It's my favorite anime just because, like, it has to be because I've watched more of it than any other anime I've ever seen. So, like, by
Right.
default, it has to be my favorite. But, like, he goes and fights Kaido, like, right off the jump because he thinks that he kills all of his friends. Of course, none of the Straw Hats are dead. But Luffy doesn't know that, so he goes beast mode. Like, there's an entire episode. Like, it's like 22 minutes of Luffy just beating the fuck out of Kaido.
Yeah, I believe it.
And none of it does any damage, and he knocks him out in one hit and puts him in a prison. So, like, he's now at a point where he's trying to figure out how to, like, send the energy that he uses, like, to defend himself or attack with, like, into someone. So that way, like, he can punch them without punching them, kind of a thing. So he's, like, trying to, like... So he's in this excavation camp, like, this labor camp. And he's like, great, there's, like, a bunch of people. Now I can learn how to do the thing. And he's like, come on. And everyone's just, like, getting knocked out around him. He's like, that's not right. Like, it's not right yet.
What do you want to play in November?
For what?
We can do whatever we want for the one shot.
I really like...
I'm preemptively inviting you.
Oh, thank you. I am preemptively accepting the invitation.
Okay.
I think for like something that I think would be fun that I haven't done before would be like a space themed campaign.
Space could be cool.
I mean, it's more of like
Maybe D20 Future.
Yeah.
That'd be fun.
There's also like I've been playing a lot of Bloodborne.
We could do like a cyberpunk.
I'd be down for Cyberpunk.
Oh, dude, we should.
I'm
and Cyberpunk set 2077 comes out in November.
Oh yeah, perfect timing.
Must be done.
Yeah.
So Ethan, I'm gonna make Ethan DM it.
Hell yeah.
Ethan will do it. It'll be a D20 Future modified for Cyberpunk.
Fuck yeah.
There probably is a Cyberpunk game. There's probably people screaming at their phones like, "Fucking Cyberpunk 2000!
Yeah.
It's a game!" But
But either that or like and this is something that I've been trying to work on for a while. Every time I go and play Bloodborne, the world it builds is something that I want to do D&D in so bad.
Oh, yeah, I feel you. Like that Victorian.
Right. Well, and then it gets to a point where like you go to a college and there's like they're studying inside. They're trying to line their minds with eyes and shit. So there's two opposing factions. There's one group that wants to elevate to godhood by using like insight, like literally lining their brain with eyes, like literally gaining more eyes to see it like further up, like to expand to like a higher elevation of thought. And then there's another group that believes in using the blood of the great ones to literally turn into gods. So like two factions of like man trying to like evolve. And I always like just the idea of like going through a college and like finding all of like the students go like there's even a nightmare labyrinth that would be perfect for like a D&D setting and like the actual nightmare of Mensis. I don't know, it seems like it would line itself really well, but like because of the way that it's so action oriented, like single player action oriented, the idea of like trying to turn it into a turn based is a really difficult concept to get around. And I know you're not listening because you're texting. But
no, I am listening. And it is a difficult concept to get around, which is why I'm texting Ethan about it, because if anybody can figure it out, it's Ethan.
I rescind my earlier...
I just said, what are your thoughts on DMing a one-shot that is Cyberpunk meets Bloodborne?
Oh, fuck yeah. It's just such a
cool... And he'll be like, I'll do it.
It's like, because Dark Souls, meh. Like, it's a fun game, but, like, the world and lore of Bloodborne, like, hits home just a little bit more.
Nothing cooler than a Plague Doctor mask.
Yeah.
I mean, truly.
There is a hunter of hunters who wears a Plague Doctor mask.
Yeah.
Like, she is the most badass. You meet her and she's like, "Oh, you're a hunter, huh?"
Oh, he just said, "Fuck yes."
Oh,
so I guess he's down.
That took no time at all. Fuck yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you, Ethan.
Yeah, thanks, man.
That's awesome. So yeah, that's what we're doing in November. Right, you heard it here first.
Yeah.
We just figured it out.
Got it here first, folks.
I don't know what it's gonna be.
We gotta get this out of the way. Politics.
It's gonna.
What did you think of the? What did you think of the last debate?
Fuck me. Hold on.
What?
Well, it'll be the 21st or the 28th. The debate, well, I will say
Who do you think won?
Probably Biden, only because I feel like Biden seemingly, they both dance around answers.
Oh, for sure.
But I think that Biden at least seemed more focused on where we're going in terms of like, we're going to improve things, and he doesn't lay out any real answer or plan, but at least he seems to be talking in that direction.
Right.
Whereas a lot of Trump stuff was just like, how everybody fucked everything up, and he's still great. Like he didn't even really like talk about good things that he's done.
Well, there isn't really anything.
There are a few things.
I mean, you could like in the same way that like you could say that as a Republican, Mitch McConnell's been doing a fantastic job. That's something that you can say, even though like I think he's a detestable, disgusting human being, but like he's a good agent for the Republicans. But I think that like there were two things in particular about the debate that struck me. One was that there wasn't really much need for the mute because Donald Trump didn't really have any comebacks for the things Biden was saying. One
thing that I will say is that Trump did seem incredibly reserved, but Bill Maher said this on his recent show, which I agree with his assessment. He's scared.
Yeah.
Which is why it's so, even if he's backed into a corner, he fights harder. So to see him so reserved is not a sign of what you would typically consider like maturity, as more of a sign of just like he's freaked out.
Oh yeah.
Which is why he's not operating like he normally does.
Well, yeah, and then like I mean, like I said, between the two things, he didn't really interrupt because he didn't really have anything to say. Like, he didn't really have any, like, retorts to a lot of the things that Biden was saying. You know, he had to just keep kind of going back to the same talking points, but he didn't really have that same kind of energy that he did the first time, where, like, he just kind of shot out of a cannon, like, amped up on steroids, like, just going at his face. He looked scared. He looked defeated. And, like, it doesn't help that, like, at all of the rallies, you know, even at because I watched the 60 Minutes interview, and she said it with the same cadence that he did. And he started getting pissed when she was like, at a recent rally, you said, "Suburban women, please love me." And he was like, "You're saying it all wrong. That's not how I said it." It's like, no, that's literally how you said it.
Also, it doesn't matter. Like, it's weird of him to, like, double down on shit that's obvious in terms of, like, whether it's factual.
Right.
Like the super predator thing, right?
Yeah.
Like, he never said that. Biden never said that.
Yeah.
Like, an article came out after he said it the first time that was like, by the way, Joe Biden never said that.
Yeah.
And, like, here's what he's referencing. And
that was a really good moment when he was like, when the moderator was like, "You called Donald Trump xenophobic for his thing." And he's like, "He is xenophobic, but not for the travel ban." I was like, that's the problem I had with Joe Biden during the debate is there were so many moments where like you have the backing, like you have the information you need to be able to shut him down on stuff. Like when he talks about the economy or like the Dow Jones, dog, it was better during Obama and Biden. It had a better spike during the Obama and Biden administration than it did during Trump's. So like when he's talking about how great the economy is, it's like you can slam dunk him on the economy because your economy was better than his, but you didn't. It's just there were a few moments where like there are two things that Donald Trump needs to be able to win, or at least like, and he's going to win regardless, but like to legitimately win is to win over people on the economy and on coronavirus.
Right.
Those are the two main things. Nothing else really matters at this point. Like,
you know what's weird to me is that the Democrats don't point out the specifics of the China ban.
Right. Like it didn't, like the whole point of it was to get a plan, and he didn't get a plan. And then like, I don't know why nobody like calls him out on when he's like, "Well, Fauci said not to wear masks." It's like he said that when we didn't have enough so that nurses and doctors could have them.
Right.
He didn't say don't wear a mask. He said right now we need to give them to the doctors, so stop hoarding them because the people who are like in the mid, like
the CDC did at one point say that there was no point to wearing a mask
early in, but
it's problematic. And the thing about it is that the reality of it is that we didn't know what the fuck it was until February.
Yeah, and
January.
And
so
even then, we didn't really like. Yeah.
So once, and we just didn't know. So the idea that they didn't provide conflicting information isn't true because they did. Also, on the other end, you have to recognize
his note about Fauci in particular.
Oh well, yeah. I mean,
like,
Fauci was operating under the information that all of us were.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what's so crazy is for him to say the funniest shit was when he was like, "I take full responsibility. It's not my fault."
Yeah.
Like in the same breath.
Yeah.
It was like what?
Oh my God, it was fantastic.
So weird.
It was so good.
It's like those asshole people that are like, "Oh, I'm sorry you feel that way."
Yeah.
It's like, oh.
Or it's like they hit their wife and they're like, "No, baby, I love you." It's like, those are two conflicting things, dog.
There's a Venn diagram crossover there. Well, Bill Maher was talking about that, the flight from hell, which was like the cruise ship people.
Right.
There were all those people on the cruise ship, and then they had to take them on a flight, and then like people were passing out in the aisles and throwing up and shit, and like then when they got there, they just fucking let them go.
Yeah.
They didn't even test them when they arrived. They just like let them go out into the airport, and it's like, well, fucking no wonder.
Yeah, no shit, man. That's why New York got hit so fucking hard.
Yeah, well, because it was at JFK.
Yeah. What I don't understand, there are two things about Donald Trump's handling of the coronavirus that I just don't get. I'll say three. One is a slam dunk way to get a second term. If you handle that properly, like look at what happened in New Zealand. That prime minister just coasted to another term. You are killing your base. Like it disproportionately affects elderly, which is your vote. And then three, like I don't understand, like even with like the whole like calling it plasma shit. Just take the L, be a man, and move forward. Like correct yourself. It's not like it to me. If you are somebody who can accept your own faults and grow from them, that is more manly to me than somebody who refuses to acknowledge any kind of failure whatsoever.
He's also still so beloved by a percentage of the populace it's like,
but like
you really wouldn't have to do much to, because if the news is correct and there's all these undecided voters, then that means that they're eligible to get on his side. And to your point, like, if he would just, instead of making it a I know you are, but what am I scenario, and just focus on what his strengths are or appear to be to his base.
Just say Nazis are bad, dude.
Yeah.
Just fucking say it. Like, your base, the Proud Boys, the QAnon people, all of them, they are not going to give a single fuck if you denounce them. They're still going to back you because your policy aligns with theirs, and they revere you as a god. The only thing that would do is sway more centralized Democrats and independents and like other undecided voters to your side.
Right.
But instead, he's putting the wall up even further.
Well, he's operating under the pretense that he could lose these people who they're, these people aren't losable.
And what is
these
strange,
are the kind
like,
of people that are trying to kidnap governors.
Yeah, and what is strange, like, he's also gotten really weird in his authoritarian vibes lately, like talking about how he's going to leave the country if he loses. Like, that's something that when someone loses power and flees the country.
Yeah, that is weird.
That's a weird thing, like.
Also, somebody pointed out that he voted in Florida with his Mar-a-Lago address, and evidently that address is registered as a business. So there's an argument that it makes his vote invalid.
Oh my God, that's amazing. That's fraud.
Hilarious when you consider that like the GOP really has leaned into being the party of suppression when it comes to exercising your right to vote.
It's strange, right? Like that also like really.
It's counterintuitive.
It also just really kind of like reinforces the idea like, hey man, there's something wrong here when the president doesn't want you to vote.
Yeah,
that's something that somebody who's already resigned to lose does. Like,
well, that's like the thing he said, right? Like this would create a level of voting that Republicans would never get elected again.
Yeah, he even said it. Like, it's very
well,
obvious.
Then there was the one senator guy that said when he was talking about gerrymandering, when he was rewriting his district, he was like, he just flat out said like, well, I think that Republicans should be in
charge forever,
should be voted for instead of Democrats. So I've redrawn my district to help that.
Yeah. I mean, it's legal, but...
Well, as awful as it is for him as awful as it is to hear that, it's also a tad refreshing because it's like, at least he's being honest about it instead of these just Mitch McConnell, Lindsey Graham fuckers that are like, oh, well...
What's going on with Mitchie Boy's hand? Did you see that? I don't know what that is. I only saw like a picture of it. What the fuck is going on with that?
Well,
is he dying?
No, he's probably had some contact with the Democrats, and as you know, Democrats are time-traveling demons.
They are the spawn of Satan. They are the children of the lie and revere their god, Satan.
Right. So, he probably bumped into...
He looks like Dumbledore after he touched the Horcrux.
Yeah. He probably bumped into like Schiff or Pelosi or something, because like that's the thing. Like once you touch those people...
the lizard...
Alex Jones talks all about it.
The lizard skin,
he can teach you all about it.
Like the lizard skin excretes a very toxic poison.
Yeah, it's almost like Grayscale from Game of Thrones. Like
never seen
it. It's a fast-acting disease that when you come in contact with Democrats. So
that's another fucked up thing, dude.
That's
again. I am so sorry. It's going back to One Piece. That's another fucking thing that was weird. Is like they have these bullets in One Piece. Like they're in the prison, and like Big Mom has destroyed all of the barriers in and out of the prison in her rampage. So like they're taking her over to Kaido because they're like, we need to fucking get this thing handled. And they pull out these guns with like playgrounds. So they shoot a guy in the back just to demonstrate like it just like poisons him, like it just like destroys his body from the inside out, and then anyone he touches it transfers to. So it's like you're just created coronavirus in a gun. What the fuck? Anyway, I feel as though I am hopeful. Like the only thing I can think of that's going to stop Donald Trump from being reelected is if the margin of difference is at least 10 million votes.
Oh, I think it needs to be way more than that.
Well, it just needs to be further enough along the 270 line to where there's no... Like, because it has to... Like, the only way that Biden's going to win is if it's a catastrophic blowout. You know what I mean? Even though he is going to win. Like, Biden's going to win the popular vote and Donald Trump is going to win the presidency no matter what. But if Biden is able to accrue enough votes to hit, like... I would say, like, at least 10 million excess votes and maybe, like, 320... on the
college. Well, here's the thing. There was a guy on, and I'm not like regurgitating Mar. I just happened to watch this episode.
I've been talking about One Piece in every opportunity I get. You're fine, man.
Well, I just watched this episode last night, and
Same.
Mar had a guy on who actually it's really clever. The name of his book is, I think it's OMG WTF. Does it say in the Constitution? and it's about the electoral process. And
Which
the
more people
reason
need to know about.
the reason that it's OMG WTF is that it's for the swing states: Ohio, Michigan, Georgia, Wisconsin, Texas, Florida.
Yeah.
This guy was throwing out all of these dates to consider. So, like, here's the thing: is that the voting is done on November 3rd.
Right.
The electorates don't have to, they have until December the 9th to clear up any discrepancies, which is kind of left at the discretion of whoever is, in charge of the shit. So they have until December the 9th. And then they don't physically vote for, like, the electorates don't actually cast their votes until January.
Right.
So I'm of the opinion that we're not going to really know what's going to happen until mid-January.
Oh, for sure.
I think between now and then, it's going to be a lot of Supreme Court stuff, which, lucky for Trump, he has 5 of them.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think it's going to start getting real weird. I think we're going to start seeing a lot of people who, have been fighting for the freedom and democracy that is America for the last 30 years start supporting this Gestapo Putin-esque scenario wherein like, well, fuck your votes, like we're just going to do it this way now. And I think that a lot of people will support that because it's him.
I think the scary thing about it is that, at least, like, because I do tend to, like, in the background while I'm doing other stuff, I listen to, like, debates or other, like, political pundits or, like, different talking heads, the Steven Crowders, the Voshes, the Ben Shapiro's, the ContraPoints, like, all of that.
David Pakman.
Right, in the background while I'm, like, playing games or whatever. So I've been kind of, like, just kind of keeping an eye on the needle of it, and it seems like the one thing that really needs to happen right now is for the left to actually, like, unify.
Yeah.
If they were to actually, because, like, I think that's the bit, like, I don't think it's the undecided voters that are going to change this election. I think it's the people who decided not to vote last election who are going to decide this one.
There's also a whole slew of new voters.
Oh, for sure. And mostly Democratic.
Yeah,
like,
maybe.
I strongly think that, I bigly think that, it's just going to be a big, powerful election, just a big, beautiful election. I think right now where we're at, because there's already, like, it's insane how many people have already voted. And
it is pretty crazy.
I think that the last chunk of people who are going to vote are young, people of color, and women. And those are the 3 groups that Donald Trump needs the most. And he's currently losing in all 3 of those groups pretty hard. Like, the fact that, like, and Florida is a swing state, but the fact that, like, Florida right now has Biden up, like, 7 points.
That's really surprising. What's weird is that, like, Florida, I feel like Florida is an imposter.
Yeah.
I feel like Florida, like, presents itself as a swing state, but, like,
it's not.
Really. I mean, how many fucking times has it gone left? Like, for Obama? Like, I just.
Like, and they also went Gore.
I mean, most of my experience, depending on who you ask.
Right.
I mean, most of my experience with Floridians in general is that most people down here are more conservative.
I've been seeing
certainly more than you would find in, like, Colorado, for example.
Dude, I'm from Washington State, dog. Like, if you had a Trump bumper sticker on the back of your truck, that shit's getting keyed.
Yeah.
Like, that shit don't fly out there, Like, I think he might, and this is all purely subjective and just from, like, conjecture from just, like, people that I've spoken to. So none of this is, like, scientific or anything. But, like, I've spoken to a lot of libertarians who seem to dislike Trump because of the way that he's trying to consolidate power. Which kind of goes against the ideas of libertarianism, which at its core is kind of leftist. They lean right, but I think, like, in theory or in, like, general terms, I would say libertarianism is leans a little bit more left than it does right. In the sense that, like, it's more about, like, personal freedoms and progressive ideas.
Well, I think that more than anything, and Cody, our friend, has brought this up. Part of the problem with libertarians,
fuck you, Cody.
Part of the problem with libertarians is that we
can't. Hope you're doing okay. You're not listening to this, but I hope you're doing okay, Cody.
The problem with libertarians is that we can't agree with one another.
Right. It's the same with the left, man.
So
that's the biggest problem that the left has against the right. The right is unified.
But the libertarians, I think, at their core, at least for me. I don't even consider myself a libertarian, but if I had to pick, it would be that. I think at the core, it's autonomy.
Yeah, personal autonomy.
Yeah, well, it's personal accountability and autonomy, and me having the option and ability to operate without a state, but also having a state there when necessary for things like education,
Right,
and
like democratic
military,
socialism.
and yeah.
I think also, in the same way that like marijuana is starting to become less and less of a, like a demonized or just discriminated against, right? Like
Right.
it's starting to become more acceptable in normal society. I feel the same is happening with like socialized systems. Even just during the pandemic, I think a lot of people like, even just like the $1,200 a month, the stimulus checks, or like healthcare, like being able to get it outside of your employer is something that like a lot of people are now starting to look at seriously. People who would never, just because it's called socialist, would never look at it, are now in a position where it's like, it's not that bad of an idea.
There was an article that came out that said that 8 million people have dropped below the poverty line since COVID.
Yeah, and look at what's happened to Jeff Bezos.
Yeah.
Like, I think the pandemic has really, like, this year in general, I think overall, if I were to sum it up, I would say it is exposing the divide in America that has been going on for generations.
Oh, for sure.
And like really shining a light on our issues and our problems. I think that's why you see so much unrest in the streets. I mean, we had the longest political dissonant protests in our history.
Yeah. I will say, when you said Jeff Bezos, it made me think of Bill Gates, which made me think of this meme I saw earlier.
That was a weird sound your mouth just made.
I know. It made me think of this meme I saw earlier where it's Bill Gates, and he's like, I can't wait to see what the future is that's brought to us by computers. And then it's in the next panel. It's it's like a battle simulator, and it's 1,000 T-Rexes versus 80,000 chickens.
Oh, fuck yeah. Who do you think would win?
That's a good question. I don't know. I feel like numbers lend themselves well.
Yeah.
The thing about Tyrannosaurus Rex is they're not terribly dexterous.
Right.
So like if you get enough weight on them and knock them down,
they can't really get themselves back up. Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna be rough.
I think. Would you rather fight 100 Mark Zuckerbergs or 10 The Rocks?
100 Mark Zuckerbergs.
Really?
I'd have way more of a chance.
I don't know.
Are you kidding me?
Well, I think
10 The Rocks.
Yeah.
Do you smell what The Rock is cooking? Are you kidding me, bro?
Yeah.
He would people's elbow you in 10 seconds.
Dude, man, I really do. Like, because when I was younger, I loved wrestling.
The Attitude Era was
my
the
God,
shit,
dude, okay.
That's the best it ever was.
Like, and this just happened recently. Not too recently, but like in the 2000s, I think in the 2010s-ish, Undertaker finally like had to retire.
Oh my God, I don't want to even talk about that. That made me so
That broke
mad.
my heart.
Nothing's
when he
worse.
couldn't get up, when he was like, because like that move that he does when he gets knocked down, he just gets up, like just stands up, and he's like, what a weird character to come out of that era of just like, I'm the doctor, like all these weird, and then just the Undertaker.
He was such a good wrestler too. Like,
I don't know about the guy himself. I don't care to know about the guy who was.
It's all really interesting because like when you get like, because I had a buddy that was super into it.
I bet you Lance is like,
yeah, his ears are burning.
Wrestling?
Yeah, Jay's been into it since he was a kid and is still into it. But another friend of mine had gotten me into a lot of the documentaries about the wrestlers, and it's interesting stuff because it really is an art and a skill.
Oh, absolutely.
And so some of those guys are just like the perfect guy. And those are the stars. There's the Stone Colds, the Rocks, like those guys that not only have a great personality, they're great on the mic.
Yeah,
but
they're good
their
at working the crowd. Their
character's lovable, and they're really good at wrestling.
Yeah.
Like the physicality of it. Like The Rock was a really good wrestler.
Oh, for sure. His dad was too. I think also what's interesting, like, because Japan also has a pretty big like pro wrestling circuit.
Oh yeah.
And there was this guy, I forget his name, I forget what his style was, but like there were these two different characters, and one of them was like the the heel?
Yeah.
And he was like, he got to like towards the top, and then like they just didn't accept him, so he just spent the rest of his career just destroying everybody, like literally destroying anyone that the crowd liked. He would just like go in and wreck them.
Yeah.
Like just brutalize them. And then he got to the point where it was like the champion or whatever, like the king, like it was kind of like an Undertaker situation where like it was somebody who had been in the scene for a long time, and he beat him, and then he actually like bowed and like showed respect, and then just like walked off stage, like not in the same kind of style that he always does. And it was like, fuck, man. Like you could tell like a hero of his just got taken down.
Yeah.
And like the audience could tell. It's wild, man. Like there really is something special to be said about the way that both the hero and the heel can like work over the audience in a certain way. Like,
oh, dude, Ric Flair put wrestling on the map.
For sure.
Like the reason that WWE
Macho
is a
Man.
thing is because of Ric Flair, because Ric Flair,
Nature Boy,
pre-Hulk Hogan, was going around the country back when it was the NWA.
Yeah.
And people fucking hated him. Oh, it was the NWA.
Oh, weird. I thought it was like the NWO.
No, it was the NWA. NWO was when the WCW was going on.
That's what it was.
Monday Night Wars. But no, it was the National Wrestling Association, I think.
It was weird when the WWF had to change from the World Wildlife Federation. That was weird.
People loved to hate him.
Yeah.
You know, he was such a hateable character that people loved him.
What an interesting, how taxing must that be?
It's got to be weird to like be the guy that people hate, but also like he was almost like Trump.
Yeah, a little bit.
He was very much just like, my dick's huge and I'm here to make money. And it's like people are like, okay, that's off-putting, but then also like some people were like, that's cool.
I kind of like him.
Yeah. So
maybe we should vote Ric Flair as president.
Oh God! Well, you know he did the Ric Flair drip song, and that shit.
Did you see him trying to dance?
Hilarious. He's so old.
Oh my God! Did you see Donald Trump trying to dance?
Oh no!
Oh my God!
That's gotta be weird.
It's all upper body, and it's like you're dancing to YMCA. They tell you how to do it in the song, and you still can't do it.
It's about what I would expect from him, though.
It's
right?
hilarious.
Like, I mean,
he doesn't. It's just his upper body, and he just kind of like.
Yeah. If aliens ever came down there and they were like, which races can dance? So we'd be like, well, this is the white guy.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, oh, well, I guess white people can't dance.
Oh my God, it's hilarious. Yeah. There's a part of me that's hopeful still. Like I can't help but be hopeful about like the end result of the election. But like, I don't know, man. Like I'm really worried that it is going to be stolen. There is going to be an extreme situation that happens, because like, you know, even like for the libertarians, like the fact that he's taking the streets with federal troops, like I think he's the first president in history to drop that kind of shit on like to deploy them on American soil against Americans. Like even that shit's like, that's kind of like what you're all against, bro. Like
it is weird. So okay, sharp turn back to D&D.
Sharp turn. Yeah, let's do it.
So, okay.
Fuck politics.
This is what's been going on.
Vote. Please vote.
With me and Ethan. So, after he said fuck yes, he followed that up with, ooh, what if we had weapons that were trick weapons that as a move action could switch from range to melee? And I said, yes, please.
Oh my God.
And then I said modified D20 future or modified cyberpunk RPG, and he's like, I do modified cyberpunk. Could you imagine cyberpunk old ones? And then I said yes. And then he said, oh, hear me out. Underwater cyberpunk with old ones.
Oh my God.
So I said, I'm with it. I need a spear gun. And then he said, except with this, it's just a spear that turns into a gun.
Oh, fuck yeah.
And then he said, what about a spear that turns into a sniper rifle? The front of the spear breaks open and becomes the tripod of the rifle.
Oh, that's awesome.
So,
dude, the trick weapons in Bloodborne are so cool.
I'm going to be a sniper.
Fuck yeah, dude.
With a spear sniper rifle.
I always use, and it's kind of like basic, but like I always, in any like Dark Souls or Soulsborne games, I always just go crank the strength up like crazy and just use like a giant club, you know?
Oh, yeah.
And so like even in Bloodborne, I use Ludwig's Holy Blade, which is like a rapier. And then you got this giant like case on your back, and you click it in and twist it, and it just becomes a great sword. And then you just like slob this great sword around on everything. Oh, it's so good.
Do you want to be sisters?
Sure.
For the cyberpunk?
I always play as a female character in the Soulsborne games.
Cool. Well, because I'm definitely gonna be a female character.
In my most recent run through of Bloodborne, I made my character look like Echidna from ReZero and named her Echidna.
Oh my God. Although I am going to be playing a male.
We could do Ram and Rem.
And our Star Wars. Oh, that'd be fun.
Yeah.
Like assassin sisters.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
And I could have like a staff that turns into a whip with like a chain on the end of it. Like
it's happening. We have red and blue hair.
Yeah.
It's happening.
Oh yeah, we'll change the names. But
I'm gonna be. So you should be up close, and I'm a sniper.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
dude. I'm all about this, bro.
I'm stoked. That's gonna be so fun.
So fun.
I gotta tell Ethan about that.
Get ready for that shit,
So
boys.
I'm sure we can get Justin
And
and
girls.
Jay and Olivia in on that.
If you're a boy, like this video. If you're a girl,
Yeah.
like this video.
If you're undecided, that's
Like this
okay.
video.
Like the video.
Yeah.
All will be well once you like the video.
Yeah.
If you're having concerns.
Just like the video, man.
So, yeah.
It takes 2 seconds.
D&D Cyberpunk Underwater Old Ones for November. I wonder what system he's going to use.
I don't
Probably
even care.
whatever's easier to get into Roll20. By the way, Roll20 was a fucking nightmare last night.
Was it really? What was
Apparently,
wrong with
they had some online event.
it?
So there were
So the
like
servers were fucked?
millions of people on it.
Oh, fuck that.
I don't know what they were doing, but it was fucked, dude. It was like game lag. Just drawing the screen.
Oh,
You could
dude,
tell
that
in the
sucks.
VOD that I'm like all over the map. And at one point, I'm like completely away from the map and I couldn't get back up to it. You know how on Roll20, if you zoom out enough, it's just like a white grid on the
Yeah,
outside of the lines, on the outside of the map. That's where I was, just in the white grid.
Oh, shit.
And I couldn't like get back up
Oh,
because there
man.
was so much lag.
It just reminds, like, because just last night I was playing Bloodborne and I fought against Ram the vacuous spider, and during the boss fight he summons a bunch of other spiders, and so like it's one of the few times in the game where like it lags hard.
Yeah.
Because there's like 80 spiders in the room.
It's
Like,
a lot to process.
It's a lot, dude. Like,
Well, what do you think that 1,000 T-Rexes versus 80,000 chickens looks like?
right? Oh my god.
I bet that's a fucking nightmare. I am going to be playing a male in our Star Wars campaign, and I was talking to Ethan, and we're talking about setting it up where we can kind of like rotate in NPCs
Ooh,
for that. So
that sounds cool.
that's the one where it's going to be. I'm really excited about that because first of all, Justin and I are going to be Sith brothers.
Fuck yeah. I think you told me about that.
Brother
Yeah, that's awesome.
assassins, but we're both going to be dumb as
Who's
fuck.
your favorite Sith?
Probably Maul.
Maul? That's a good choice.
It's just because he's mysterious and because he's just badass looking.
Yeah.
But then there is the argument of like people talk about how much of a badass Maul was, but he was also killed by a Padawan. So
Yeah, I think I think in general, like I read the books about it, like the original one that decided that there was only 2 Sith ever.
yeah,
The one who has power and one who's trying to accept that power, like, which is odd. I forget his name, but like it was a good book. It was a good book series. It was like 3 books, and like he just goes through and kills all the other Sith. 'Cause he's
Yeah.
like I'm the only one that can contain this power or whatever. So it's kind of hard to say like who your favorite Sith is, but
there's a lot of good books too. Like
it's amazing how much canon out there is for Star Wars.
Oh, dude, the Jedi Apprentice series, which was actually written for kids, I read it when I was like 15. It's
Yeah.
written for like 10-year-olds, but I read it when I was like 15. But it was so good. And
I believe it.
because they're because they're written for kids, they're small, so you can chew through them. I read the whole series over the summer. There were like 20 or 30 books or something.
Mm-hmm.
It's the story of when Qui-Gon was training Obi-Wan.
Right.
So Obi-Wan, this is like pre-episode 1 stuff.
Right.
So you really get to see how much of a bad motherfucker Qui-Gon Jinn is.
Oh, yeah.
Holy shit, dude. He fucks shit up
I
in
think
those
Grievous
books.
was pretty cool.
Yeah. Grievous is cool. Dooku's like creepy.
Yeah.
And the Emperor is always like fun. Well, it
Great.
depends because, I
What
put
should we do
in
with all this extra meat? Steer it.
I put in so much time on Battlefront 2, heroes versus villains.
Right.
The Emperor was always like one of my favorite villains to play because I would just run around lightning people.
Oh, yeah. How sad is that though? Like that because Anakin lost his hands, he couldn't use the lightning. Like, how much more badass would Darth Vader have been? He would have been OP if he could use the lightning.
Well, yeah, I don't know though, dude. That fucking the Force choke shit is.
I feel really, I honestly like. I feel really bad for the prequel because like the story is so much better in the prequel, but the limitations of the video at the time, kind of like when you see the Jedi fights, is very much like what you would see like 2 kids doing that are just learning how to use Photoshop or like After Effects.
I disagree with
Really?
the assessment that it was a good story.
I thought it was better than the prequels, the original 3.
Oh, you're talking about episode 7.
Yeah, sorry, I probably
Okay.
misspoke. I meant the ones that came out first.
Okay, I thought you meant
No,
episode
the prequels
1.
were trash. I meant like the original set.
Like episode 4.
Right.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, and the remasters are fucking weird because
Yeah.
they did it in the 90s where it was like we can
Still
do a
not-
little bit more stuff, but now it looks even weirder.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, but when you watch the original cut where that fucking Tauntaun running on Hoth is just some claymation.
Yeah.
That's the shit I like.
Yeah, I mean there is like kind of like a campy good vibe about it, but I just feel kind of bad because like Darth Vader didn't really get much chance to shine. I mean, I guess like in the video games and stuff, there are cutscenes with him where he is like wrecking house and stuff, but like,
well, you also have to consider the times too.
Yeah, exactly.
Like in the 70s,
that was the hottest shit
that
anyone's
shit
ever
was
seen.
crazy.
Yeah.
It was like we're in space. I mean, we had just gotten to space the decade before.
Yeah.
So the idea of like this whole story is in space, and then there's this really spooky.
Well, plus like what else was out at the time? You know what I mean? Like it was the ultimate science fiction like blockbuster.
It was really fucking nuts. And
I still can't believe that fucking the guy who did Titanic and did Avatar, James Cameron.
James Cameron.
Fucking, I can't believe he's trying to do like 5 different avatars. It's like, dude, it's the same. Stop.
Yeah.
You got away with it once.
Yeah.
It's like all the extra like Transformers movies. What happened with those?
I don't know.
First of all,
I never liked any of them, but I mean, Avatar's just Fern Gully, right?
it is.
Avatar-
Ferngully was the shit when I was younger, bro.
Avatar's Fern Gully.
Yeah.
Those are words to live by, I think.
Avatar Gully.
Avatar, Fernatar.
Fernatar. There you go. There you go. That's the name of the episode.
All right, I work with that.
Fuck yeah.
Hey, we talked about D&D.
Yeah, we did.
A pretty good amount, and we did still talk about politics. We didn't talk as much about anime. Oh my gosh, Fire Force.
Oh, dude.
Holy hell,
How
dude.
weird is that like relationship between
Charon is the dopest
Dude.
of motherfuckers on
he just like
Earth.
takes that nuclear strike into his body and
He's
just
like,
launches it back out.
Well, I'm a protector.
Yeah, that's what I do.
I'll just take this sun
Go for it.
worth of radiation.
Yeah. How
and
cool
then
was that
wins
too?
the
Like,
kid over anyway.
I really did like the radiation shit. Like that was such
yeah.
an interesting and unique like.
Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at
Fuck that
NoBigBanana.
out.
And send us emails on nobigbanana@gmail.com.
Fuck that out.
We'll see you next week.
Nuclear?